you really have this two speed, the AI speed, the digitalization speed, the fast go really, really fast, while the infrastructure, the time to build this heavy equipment, it takes a longer time.
What happens when the world's most physical complex industry starts to think like a software?
Even if you start in that journey, bring an organization in that journey, it goes so fast, technology are so changing so rapidly that is really difficult for human being to start and to follow.
So if the machines become autonomous, what's going to happen to the people?
AI will not replace the job. AI will replace the one that don't want to change their job.
In the background of our lives, machines are always working. Engines are spinning, ships are moving, electrical power is flowing. These machines usually don't ask for attention, but if you think deeper, without these machines, everything stops. We rarely think about how the world actually runs, but behind the global commerce, modern cities, and even our digital economy lies a massive, invisible layer of industrial infrastructure. Marine engines, power turbines, energy systems are operating 24/7 in the harshest environments on Earth. But here's the twist. Those machines are no longer passive. They are becoming intelligent, and they are starting to decide, optimize, and act right on their own. AI is quietly entering this industrial care, not as a dashboard, but as an operator. And it is predicting the failures before they happen. It is rerouting energy flows to reduce emissions in real time. And soon, it will manage entire systems autonomously from the inside of the machine. This matters not just because it's cool tech, but because the industrial sector is responsible for nearly 30% of the global emissions, and yet is one of the least digitized parts of the global economy. That's a massive opportunity and an existential challenge. But it also matters because this industry is a major global employer, providing jobs to over 600 million people around the world in energy, maritime, manufacturing, and the heavy-duty infrastructure. That's nearly 20% of the global workforce. And it contributes trillions in labor of taxes and national GDPs, not just through revenue, but also through livelihoods. So if the machines become autonomous, what's going to happen to the people? Well, I am Diana Daniels, an entrepreneur navigating the telecommunications industry, intersecting with the emerging technologies, and this is the Tech Foresight podcast, the podcast where we explore how breakthrough technologies reshape industries, shift power and challenges, and what it means to live. We are speaking with the global thinkers, builders, and executives about what is next. Not in 2 years, but also in the next 10, 15, and even 25 years from now. So if you're a CEO, transformation executive, policymaker, or a systems builder or architect, today, this episode is a must listen to you, because the future is heavy industry, is how is digitized, decarbonized, and decentralized, and how this will affect the supply chains, national economies, and the resilience of the global system itself. Today, we're asking, what happens when the world's most physical complex industry starts to think like a software? Who owns the data? Who makes the decisions? And who is and how fast we can go before culture, regulation, or risk slow us down? My guest today is someone leading that change. Cristian Corotto, he is the president of digital division of the group digital strategy of Accelleron, a 100-year-old powerhouse serving the maritime and energy industries in over 50 countries. Cristian is not only stirring the digital transformation of a legacy industrial giant, he is pushing this toward autonomy, speed, sustainability in ways most tech firms actually haven't even started to imagine. Cristian, welcome to the Tech Foresight podcast.
Thank you, Diana. Thank you for having me here.
Cristian, I would like to start with you right at the edge of the technology and what is happening. Today, you are working on systems where AI is not only predicting, is deciding, maybe it's even already acting by its own. And I guess it's a huge leap, especially in this high-stake environment. Can you take us a little bit inside of what is that shift looking like from predictive analytics to all the way of autonomous in action in
Yes,
the industry?
exactly. Let me. I'm working particularly in the marine business. Marine business may not be famous to everybody, but it's transporting 90% of the goods around the globe as a raw material or as a finished material. So it's a backbone infrastructure. Without that, the full economy will not run. And this is responsible for the 3% of the decarbonization in the globe. So this industry is going through a massive transformation because as everybody tries to reduce the carbon footprint, of course, you can imagine the vessel around the globe, they have to do that. But there are heavy assets. And the regulatory, the IMO, the pressure from consumer is getting more and more. So the complexity that is needed to be managed by the ship operator, by the charter, by the people are working in this subset of the logistic chain is getting massive. And you are an asset that is stay around for 25, 30 years in water, and means the vessel that have been running today, they are from the early, the technology was not exactly as we are today. So you have a mix between technology that is coming and challenging the way the operator has to deal with, so the quantity of data and how to do that, and with a modern AI in an environment, the infrastructure that is maybe 10, 15, 20 years old. When we saw the iPhone, which is only 18 years old. So you basically have to deal with this kind of technology and a time frame that is really, really stretched. So this industry, and that's happened to many heavy industry, not only in the marine, I can imagine in any other one, you really have this two speed, the AI speed, the digitalization speed, the fast go really, really fast, while the infrastructure, the time to build this heavy equipment, it takes a longer time, and you're operating for a longer time. That is a challenge, Diana. That's what I see every day. And to mix these two areas and the way that business is built, it is a continuous challenge everywhere.
That's a great example, because I honestly think that people, or most of people, they don't realize how fast this is accelerating. I was reading a report when I was preparing for our conversation today, where McKinsey was telling us that by 2035, autonomous systems could handle up to 80% of the real operational decisions in asset-intensive industry like yours. So it's besides the dashboard, it's like an orchestration, I think. How do you ensure the quality of the trustworthiness of those decisions, you think, Cristian?
I don't know. I mean, looking from my perspective, I think that is quite generous from McKinsey to say that this will happen in the next 10 years. While even today, these assets are not really well connected, and if they are connected, it's not with high technology. We're talking about, in this case, the vessel machine that are not up. I mean, let's say not the top of the notch of the, and it's not. I would say, it's not top of the notch of the technology. It is in the marine industry, of course, but it's not like where AI can run. We have not enough data point. There are not enough vessels to train all the model to the same quantity of data that should be available to do that. So it is an industry that is still today running for a quantity of vessel, a many vessel that they need to guarantee the safety of the crew first, safety of the ship, safety of the cargo. And where digitalization, for sure, it is one area that is allied to, but we're not talking about autonomous shipping. The autonomous shipping may become, there are some tests, they can run for the short distance, so far at least. Of course, if you can imagine the future, you can imagine a future where humanoid will take control of everything. Maybe they will be able to even navigate a cargo across the ocean. The challenge is that really the way that industry will feel comfortable to have the cargo transport for a major. I mean, you transport a cargo over 1 billion in a way that maybe a crew is the last of the cost, where the ship, the bill of the fuel is the highest cost of the insurance. So I don't know if that is, it's a nice to look into that. It's nice to have that as a vision, but today, at least today, what I can foresee in the next 5 years, the technology and the connectivity is not the same as you are in the city. I mean, you're in the middle of the ocean. You only be able to get through the Starlink coverage, for example, with that frequency. Until that will be covered, you are not visibility. And then you need, and the vessel goes around the globe in any area. So you cannot say, well, this area is not covered. Now the cargo will stop. So it's that challenge is a challenge that has been addressed by many competitors. It is for sure a challenge that everybody are looking at as a possibility. But I see that possibility become more reality close, for example, to the small vessel in in the harbor, in the lake. That is much easier because the lake has much more connectivity. It's a small lake, you have Wi-Fi, you can have a way to control, you have much that is possible. You can go even to electrification of that vessel because you can recharge over time. So if you get that's much more a reality, I would say, in the next coming future. When I was thinking about a huge 20 tons container vessel ship, I don't think that is coming soon. At least, maybe I'm wrong, because technology goes also to a speed that whatever we think today impossible is becoming absolutely possible, reasonable tomorrow, and maybe the new normal in the next future. So it's really difficult to say yes or no, because it's evolving such a speed where we are human.
And it's a work. Right. And it's the work that we're trying to do today here in this podcast, right? It's that exercise that I call brain gym, with our mind, that we're trying to do and in trying to anticipate what is happening. And what you mentioned before, and I guess that you said something important, that nothing of this could work without the right data in the right structure at the right speed, as you said, right? So if we zoom into something critical, and maybe that sometimes it's overlooked, many companies say, that the data is the new oil, but in the heavy industry, it's often more like crude oil unstructured or silhouette oil, or that is also hard to refine because you guys not necessarily have the data. So my question is, what does good data infrastructure actually look like? And especially in an enterprise that will be autonomous ready, what are those hard changes for the companies that they must make if they want to unlock that real value of AI?
I think there is a change in the business model. Let me express in this way, Diana. Today, the company are making, let's say, money, most likely in heavy industry, let's say, for maintenance of the equipment, in that kind of way, where, of course, data will help you to make more value and to understand what's going on. But the data in the heavy industry rely on sensors somehow. And those sensors most of the time are not really reliable. They are breaking. You cannot rely on a sensor that has to stay alive for 20 years in a difficult environment in terms of temperature, dust, and so on. So those things are breaking. So when the business model of this heavy industry will come and to understand that to do maintenance on the sensors in order to get the data will be as valuable as to do the maintenance of the equipment, that will be a way that you can really harvest on the data that you're basically building. And today, not every company has done these steps to understand that to get the quality of data, the good data, has the same value or similar value that to keep the equipment. Because in one case, you will be able to charge, you will be able to give a value to customer when you do the maintenance because it's a needs. The other one is not particularly a needs. It's more like you have to do that. You have to embed that solution into the service value that you're going to bring tomorrow. And that's changing the way that you are operating. It's changing the business model. As a company, you really have to understand the data is really value, meaning that you you need to get to the point where you not only have receiving data, because many companies are sitting on tons of data, terabytes of data, not structured. Most of the time, they're not structured. And out of that, they are not capable to get out the value. So many times the data and the value is sitting somewhere in some different setup, but they are not building a data lake, which is a step number 0 in order to do anything in digitalization. And then after that, after the normalization of the data, then you can start to look into, let's say, to generate the value out of data. And many companies coming from this industrial industry, they're not approaching that with a digital mindset.
Yeah.
Which is, which is a different logic. I give you the logic where it's an industrial logic. And when I joined this industry, I realized that was not going anywhere, because you cannot go ask around, give me the data. That's not an answer. The answer.
Like, what are you talking about, right? Like,
exactly.
What do you mean?
What do you mean? Give me the value. Give me the value. What do you want? Give me the value. But how can I give you value without data? I remember we had a few years ago, before I joined the company, this kind of discussion. And then, of course, if you approach in a digital way, in meaning you're giving value, and then, of course, without the value, they will give you all the data that you need, because you have to generate the value that everybody wants to have it.
And I guess it's so important, Cristian, because it's how do you get an organization to treat data as an enterprise asset and not just as an issue or as an IT issue? I guess this is the biggest.
The way that I believe is working is what Charles is mentioned. You have an ambidextrous organization, and you need to have an organization inside of it, even a traditional company, that has approach in a digital way. That's where is my background. That's where I'm coming from. That is the merging of the way of working from a digital perspective together with the knowledge of the industry. Whatever industry you're discussing it, you have to merge these two things. But the knowledge needs to be managed with a digital approach. So meaning I need to generate value to customer. That's the most important stuff. When I can do that, I can have my revenue. And many companies are running this exercise, as you said, in IT. We call it happy engineering. We have a fantastic demo that don't go anywhere. Well, what I believe is that the ambidextrous organization says that you should be able to have your own P&L, able to generate your own value. Because if you do that, you are sure that you're generating value for customer, because you need to sell something. And of course, customer will only give you the recognition through the revenue if there is a value. If there is no value, there is no way nobody will pay for anything. So it's really important to have that kind of approach, which is disruptive for a traditional company, because normally you see the digitalization as a simply a support, which somehow could be also, but in order to generate value for customers, you need to have that drive. With that, is able to take in over organization and convince the organization that now it's possible to generate value, because you can take the data, make value, and with that, you can train the organization how to work in the digital part. I don't know if I express myself. It's a complicated exercise. Totally. It's a mindset changing way. It's organizational driven change. It's a cultural step that needs to happen. It's a merging and between digital knowledge, a digital way of working with traditional knowledge. And that's not the easiest one to make it happen. But when it happens, and I can testify that can happen, it is really fantastic way of growing. And it's a really fascinating mix.
I love this, because we've talked about this internal transformation of systems architecture, decision making. And I guess that there's also another major shift happening at the edge of the enterprise too, where companies actually meet the customers. You know, in the past, the servicing industry like yours that was slow, manual, or reactive, you know, that I believe that is changing. And yes. And I was reading on this old documentation I was reading, Accenture said that over 70% of industrial customer interactions are going to be powered or mediated by AI by 2030.
Correct.
So this is like from diagnostics to update or to do uptime monitoring, to proactive support, to co-design service solutions. So let me ask this. What does the future of industrial customer experience look like? Especially when AI and autonomy are already together, embedded. How are you seeing customer expectations will shift, and how do you think that companies are already even responding about this?
I believe what I'm observing today, it is we have, I would say, a passive approach. Let me explain it. What does it mean with that? So if I need something, it's like a little bit on, let's say on OpenAI, and go to, and then I can search for anything, and I can do this kind of research. And that's how happening everywhere. It's in any company, everybody creating their own chatbot, everybody creating their own AI agent, everybody tried to do that kind of, it's an efficiency tool. There are many cases in customer support. There is a lot of literature around that. So you will easily see that everybody have tried to do that. That's also an important part, but it needs to be done for sure. I believe that the next step is to become proactive. So instead of you as a customer, a consumer, going to a place and basically searching for or try to connect somehow the dots, I think that the future will come where the tool, the service, they will come to you and to say, well, based on what you have done, based on your data, based on this option, those are the information for you. And if you're looking, for example, to Zalando, they will give you what is your recommendation? What are the tool? The consumer a little bit more ahead than the heavy industry. But you can connect that they will come also to the heavy industry, maybe at the due time, because it's technical. And the commercial, of course, when you go to consumer, you have much more data. With more data, you can create a better modeling. And with the better modeling, you can be more successful. When you go to the heavy industry, the quantity to train the model are limited. Takes much longer time to do that. And you cannot accept that, that is not perfect. So if you go to the fashion and you receive a pullover that is not exactly your color, you will accept that. But if you receive a technical information that is not precise, you will not accept that, because you want to make sure that if an OEM is giving you an information, that information is secure, is guaranteed. You trust that information. So that's an important step that will require a longer time to train the model, and most likely will not be enough. There will be what I'm calling human in the loop, someone with the right expertise, double check the AI is going to give the right information, because on the technical level, those are really critical and important. While in the consumer, worst case, you end up with a t-shirt that is not the color that you like, or you changing it. It's a little bit more acceptable because the risk is much less. So I believe that we go in that direction, also in the heavy industry, where the solution will become more proactive towards the customer. Could be maybe in the next 5 years, self-guided with what I'm calling human in the loop, and maybe in the long term, the model will be so well trained that can be automatically, proactively telling you what to do. That's how I see we evolve.
It's fascinating because, especially because I believe that now we are in this shift from service teams to what probably you're describing and say is service intelligence. Could we imagine a future where every customer has their own AI agent co-piloting their fleet, equipment, or operations, almost like a smart industrial assistant?
I can see that happens, and because I see that the AI is getting, I will almost say every day, but every week for sure, more and more smart and intelligent. As long as you can get more data, and as long as you can correlate different data points, that things will come. In some industry, will take a little bit longer because, as I said, there is not enough data point to train the model. In others, there is more data point, you can go faster, but the potential is the same. So it's there. Yes, I see that is going to happen in an elevator business or any business. You will have an agent will tell you when to do things. And the next question will come is that will be trigger automatically a request directly to someone. It will be go directly to a humanoid, which will come and do the maintenance of your elevator, for example. Can be supervised. How that journey will looks like, where you will have a combination of a proactiveness of the AI that knows exactly the needs, and or realizing when certain things happens and automatically connected to some calls that goes to expertise that today are maybe more human, in the future a mix between human and humanoid that will do certain activities, and basically how can we go there? Well, I believe so. The other challenge that I see that probably will happen in the standardized environment, more in the vessel will be a little bit more complicated, but in maybe elevator, for example, that is much more reasonable to have it for access to the elevator itself. It's just an example of the elevator,
but yeah.
It's not moving. It's stable in the same place.
Depending how high the floor, but yes,
exactly.
Let's use.
This kind of this is way more possible. And in one way, it's really exciting because you can really predict, optimize, intervene at the right time, give maximum uptime to the machine, and even having 24/7 support by humanoid that can be directly do that. Doesn't matter if it's Saturday, Sunday, midnight, or 3 o'clock in the morning. So you can really, really have that 24/7 service and uptime for customer. It's really exciting. The other one is pretty scary because you have everything managed, maintained, controlled, operated by not by human.
But the other thing, I agree on this, but then what I'm, kind of like putting my mind on this is like, what's needed for that to scale, especially like to trust on the machine, when more decisions are being made by algorithm, what do we need to do? Is that, do we need to have more transparency? Do we need to have like more code or regulation on ethics? I don't know, shared data layer, but it's like
it's a mix. At least I don't have the full answer, Diana. I can tell you what I see. For sure, as a company, we are writing the ethics and the governance of the AI of the data, because every company has to do that. I think that I own it to my colleague. We own as a company to our colleague and employee, because we have to make sure that we treat the data carefully and consciously, because the information that you can get out of data can be really a lot. That's for sure is one area that is emerging. I will say probably was not so important a couple of years ago. Now starting to get more and more on the ethics side. That's part that let's see as a company, as a corporation, we have to thinking about, and I think everybody are thinking about what to do with that.
Yeah.
The other part is what about the people? What about the skill set? What about the changing of skills that is coming? What does it need? Which job and which skill set of any job is required tomorrow? We don't know yet. I mean, it's the other challenging part is not about the skill itself. It's how which resource. So I believe that the future belongs to those that can basically adapt and solve the problem. Those are the ones that will able to navigate this uncertainty and the speed that we have, because we have to consider that for me the AI is not just a tool; it's just a new capability. You're adding a new capability layer on top, and you're adding something new. So the one that are able to use the new capability, accelerate their knowledge and learnings, those are the ones that will find the job of tomorrow. But it's a massive change and challenge that we all have it. We all have it.
But do you think that customers eventually will still need a service provider, or will the system serve themselves? And what is there going to be like the role of the company
I think no. I think that the role they will still need um, people,
Of course.
capability. The role of the company also, I believe, in terms of brand, it will become more and more important because it's becoming a sort of guarantee towards customer of a certain reliability, certain ethics, certain. So the value of the brand is become more important because you know that you can trust that brand. Now, of course, the brand at the other side has to work harder to make sure that it can gain the trust and keep the trust. So it's not only given and to keep and maintain over time. It will require investment that required a certain decision, also not to go for the shortcut, maybe for a quick revenue, but for a long-term strategy where everybody can really rely on that specific brand. And I think that would be again another challenge, particularly if you look into the short-term incentive versus the long-term incentive that executive has it. That's a challenge that I can see that. But in general, I believe that would be a key importance, and the people will remain, from my belief, at the center of that trust.
I love this because you were, I guess, hitting it on the nail, because we cover systems, data, and customers, but I guess that last frontier that is often the hardest to make this shift is basically culture. Because if AI moves in milliseconds and companies moving quarters of years, then we got all disconnected if we don't, help that transition. We know, we spoke the other day, we were together in this Stanford event. We were speaking about, like, what was it, like, that digital transformations failed 70%, and not necessarily because of technology, but because of the misaligning of the people.
Absolutely.
So if we put a name on it, what you have learned about leading change in environments that they were not necessarily built to move fast, like your type of companies, especially those ones with those legacy decades in this operation, these legacy operations?
It's funny because yes, somehow everybody has this feeling or this perception that this company are not moving fast, but maybe that was valid until, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago. But now even even in this company are moving way faster than in the past. The way normally it's a difficult exercise because coming, of course, from the leadership, from the trust, which has normally easy words, like a buzzword to say, it's trust, leadership, fantastic. In other words, it really means to me discussing with the people and showing the benefit of why AI can give a new layer and then unlock the resource, because it's not someone say, yeah, let's do that, it's really cool, but it's everybody needs to do it, needs to trust, because they're doing it and they're using it. Of course, we coming from a training showing the way this has been done. Normally you start with a small group, but then in the short terms they have to be basically engaged the rest of the organization. Normally as a human, we don't like change. That's clear for everybody. We hate that. We hate change. We hate when anything's changing to us. We are all in the same boat. So to take an organization which is coming with the effort every day, also to show that this is an opportunity, and explaining what you need to do as a new things, but also explaining what you need not to change, because most likely you are successful today. So there are areas where for sure you have to change, an area that you do not have to change, and but you can maybe make it things better or faster, and then people are starting to engage and getting more and more familiar with. It should be a sort of natural step. The challenge that I see is that the natural step of the speed of AI goes so fast that even if you start in that journey, bring an organization in that journey, it goes so fast. Technology are so so changing so rapidly that is really difficult for human being to start and to follow. And company, they cannot rely, oh, I'm taking a young guy that he will adapt to the technology. For sure, that maybe is easier, but he doesn't adapt to, he doesn't have all the other skills in terms of domain knowledge and soft skills in order to put the right attention to customer correlation. We are still in the business of humans. We should not forget it. Technology, fantastic, but it is not the center. So customer want to talk to people. You want to have interaction. You want to connect with people and have an exchange, and not only to have an AI telling you information. So I think that experience, the social experience, the social knowledge that we need to bring into this equation where the layer of AI will give us much more power in terms of knowledge, it's still an important factor. And that's the culture is getting really, really important.
I guess it's so important that we reframe that autonomy in the organization, where employees, they must feel empowered rather than feel fear to be replaced. It's not about AI will do your job, but how AI will help you lead at the speed that you didn't have before, or the resources that you didn't have before to make it better.
Diana,
right?
is correct. The one AI will not replace the job. AI will replace the one that don't want to change their job.
Totally. So what's new skills or mindsets? Because you've been speaking a lot of mindset. So what is that mindset, or what is new skills? Do you believe that the leaders that are in these industrial, so legacy companies, they need to thrive in this world of autonomous systems that the AI-powered enterprises is creating?
I think that the first one is really to, when I'm saying think and adapt. The other part that including everybody say, oh, we already tried that, it doesn't work. This kind of mindset are what probably are not so that's not probably the right way to approach it, I will say. Of course, you have to define where you want to take risk and where you don't accept risk. There are some I don't know, safety on, for example, there are areas where you don't want to take any risk, and then that is fine, that is okay, because you have a certain legacy you want to protect. Other area you can take some more risk, but you need to be able to adapt. And when I'm saying risk, I mean, if you want to use AI to do certain autonomous things for you, at a certain point you may not come correctly the first time. So you need to understand when you need to adapt, when you have enough data, when the AI will tell you good things, and when maybe still okay for a period of time to go in the traditional way, because you don't want to take that risk. It's too risky for saving something because it's autonomous. Gen AI for sure is helping a lot to reduce this barrier, to make things accessible to everybody. We should not forget that this is not precise, particularly when you go in a technical direction. It is not a precise machine yet. It will come, most likely, but not yet. So to have the critical mindset is an important part, and to adapt on anything that's changing, because weekly things are changing. Maybe tomorrow it will be possible what today is impossible. That's auto mindset.
So if you think in let's put it shorter in terms of foresight, 10 years from now, 2040. I'm going to think 2040. What excites you about 2040?
Well, I think in 2040, it is exciting me and scares me at the same time. It's a really
let's do both. What excites you and what makes you?
It's a world that can be connected, can be more efficient, can be hopefully capable to have access to resource much better. We can distribute it. The other part that scares me a lot, because in order to have access, in order to have distribution of information, it's an information that it goes everywhere. Everybody will control everything. So the privacy part, it's quite scary me. The capability that AI has it. This scares me because they can really connect the dots and do more. And so it's important that we understand how to treat the technology and to make sure that we have guidance and ethics in how to do that. And it's like any new things and any new technology can be used in a positive and negative. And I'm using often this analogy: a knife is a fantastic when you have to eat a steak, but the other side can also be a tool that can kill someone, but it's still something that is. So it depends how you use it. And the same for AI. It depends how we're going to use it as a society. It can be a fantastic tool and support, but it could be also something that maybe is scaring us and challenging us.
And we arrived to one of my favorite parts of this podcast, because we call it the 4 trends and the 4 dreams, and it's a light round thought experiment. I promise you, there's no wrong answers about it, and this is basically how it works. I'm going to kick off with 4 trends. These are present day forces today happening that you believe that will have a clear, direct impact in your industry, maybe in the next 4 to 5 years. And from there, we're going to go a little bit deeper, and I'm going to ask you to imagine 4 dreams on what you hope that the world is going to look like in 2050. So, are you ready?
Okay, let's try.
Let's try it out. Okay. So let's go for these 4 trends, and that to help you spark these ideas, I'm gonna mention to you maybe 4 areas, so you can tell me what is your trend in these 4 areas. So maybe the first trend I'm gonna call it is autonomy and technology. What is a trend that you're seeing this in your industry?
Autonomy in a small ship transportation is in the lake, as I said. I think that could be autonomy and
technology.
Well, technology would be, automatically self-driven, self-managed. That's easy.
Beautiful. Then, and trend number 2 in customer value or service models. What do you see that trend happening in your?
I think there would be more trend. That's 2040, 2050. I don't know, but there would be a value of the data will have a value. The sensor, the data quality of data will have a value as the same level as the equipment maintenance as well. So there will be an increase of value of data that today somehow is there, but it's not so prominent.
What about the trend on talent or teams or people?
It's a capability, social intelligence, emotional intelligence, and the capability to adapt to change. That would be more valuable than the classical vertical knowledge.
And another trend that you see that is going to change your industry in sustainability, maybe that systemic pressure.
I think sustainability will be the biggest driver, is today the biggest driver in the industry. There are lots of discussion about the new type of fuel, which will change the way things can be operated. I think that sustainability, it is probably the most important trend in the shipping industry, despite geopolitical situation. I think believe that if we want to continue to live on this planet and to give something to our future kids and family, we will need to all together as everybody working on that.
What do you see, like maybe automation or optimization, reporting?
Optimization, new fuel type optimization. There will be many ways that can be, and most likely across the logistics, will not be only in marine, but also in plane, in auto, in truck, rail. So there will be a full transportation of goods needs to be rethought through, connected, maybe integrated with a blockchain solution that give us a clear vision, sustainability, and clear optimization of goods.
Love this. Now let's switch gears. Let's go right to 2050. We are in 2050 already, and I want you to imagine what do you think the world is going to be on the same concept. Let's going to see 2050. What do you think on autonomy?
I don't know. Maybe everything will be autonomous from a pure logistics, or maybe things will be 3D printed directly in a way that we are going to not need the logistics almost anymore, because we only run raw material, and everything will be local printed, maybe in the house, where you will be able to print from the steak to the shoes as you need it.
You think that machines will be co-workers, invisible helpers, guardians?
Would be for sure. I believe that when I will be old, the person that will take care of me will be a robot for sure, a humanoid. I hope that it will be a good job. So please train that in that nicely way for me as for my future. But yeah, that's I believe that would be the case.
So 2050, what is your thought on value proposition? What is your dream on how industrial companies will deliver value?
They will. That would be an interesting part, because I don't know if we're going to make everything automatized. Who will be the customer? So that is because you make everything automatic, you make everything done. So who's the customer then? There is no.
I'm gonna pay for it. Yeah.
Who's going to pay for and the value? Yeah, that's a good interesting part. Maybe we will stop and go back to maybe more analogic life after a certain point. I cannot figure out what happened to 50. It's too far away.
It's only 25 years far away. It's not that 30 almost. So, okay. What about what it will be your dream for the people who work in your industry, the engineers and operators and builders? What is 2050 looking like for them?
I hope they will have the possibility to use the data much more, to really generate, together with the AI and with their knowledge, let's say a tool or a customer value that is really tailor-made for the needs. So really capable to run in case of shipping, really completely in a sustainable way, from the production to disassembly to the operation and in fuel. I think that the capability that AI will give to the engineering, the knowledge that everybody has it, if we'll be using that direction, we'll be able to really generate a value for the world, where we can transport people or goods in a sustainable way, and that's definitely would be my dream, in a compliance with the ocean needs, in that I see. If I want to have a dream, I dream that by that time this will become a reality, and we will be able to operate in a much more sustainable way.
Thank you for dreaming with us on this segment. It's fantastic. So I have another couple of questions that I would like you to think about it. Tell me more or less what is it that you remember on this? What was that best advice that you ever received?
The best advice that I perceive.
Yeah.
Well, probably not be scared to make mistakes.
Yeah, that's a really good advice, actually.
Because I learned, actually, I remember that basically said, well, there are not mistakes, those are learnings, as long as it's done only once. That was one of my bosses. Okay, it's only once. That's a learning. It's
that's a learning. It's not a mistake. Yes.
So that was a good part. Don't be afraid, but treat it only once mistakes as a learning. And the second part, probably, if you want to change something, you cannot be nice with everybody. People will love you. People will hate you.
That's very true. And it's okay to be hated a little bit.
If you want to change something, you have to accept that part.
So if you can come back to your old self when you were 18 years old, what advice would you give you to that 18 years old then?
Well, probably I will give the same advice in the mistakes, in making the decision. Sometimes take some risk, and maybe sometimes you took some easy way to uncomfortable. And I will probably tell myself, particularly when you're young, be bold, be much bolder than I was at that time.
That's very interesting. I wonder if there's something that that you wish somebody would tell you, so you will do it differently.
I don't know. I'm advising now. I'm advising on mentoring some young guys, and I'm advising when they're a certain age, it's time to take some risk that you cannot take it when you're a certain age, because you have a family, you have a commitment, you have certain things that are more complicated. While, for example, you want to open up your startup, you want to give a try, get the learning, but do it immediately. Don't do it when you're a certain age. That's too complicated.
That's love it, because I was going to ask you, what is the advice that you will give to a today's CEO? Let's say the CEO of a company like yours, and they are paying you to give you the best advice. What is something that you believe that they should do?
To the young guys today, we are living in a time, in a unique time, where the opportunities are endless, where capability are accessible from everybody. With AI, you can do so many more things. Take the risk, run, try to open up your idea, be passionate about what you're doing, bring your passion in what you're doing, get the tool support that today are available that maybe when I was young were not, and risk. And let's see.
Those are to the young guys, but let's talk about that CEO in that legacy company like yours that is like watching on today, and what is an advice for that person that is watching you, and that probably needs to think about how to continue making his company relevant?
I will say that person normally has to ambidextrous situation. You have to keep the business as is, because they will be evaluated, but take the way to carve out in a corner with a decide risk and investment, and that go and risk and be bold.
I love this. One more that I want to know from you is like, do you have a book that you believe that every leader should read? Is there something that you want to recommend our audience?
I'm a fan of The Power of Habits, because I believe that if you're really able to do is like a small steps. You can do that, and if you can take their habits and make it a routine every day you're adding something, and the knowledge that you're getting from many information is getting more and more, but we are bombarded by many, many, many things. And that's a sort of way to make it, step by step, put in habits, build the habits in, also the habits that not to have habits, because otherwise you will stuck and you will not change. Also the habits to challenge yourself, because it's part of the change that you need to have it. I think that the way that I see is continuous improvement in a way, but do it in a small piece.
So if you would have this magic wand that you can, convert everything that you like in reality, what it will be that leadership skill that the leaders of today, they should kind of like come with it, it's like that instantly give that every leader that one skill. Empathy and communication. Yes, I can agree with you more on that. All right, my final questions. No time, no pressure. My final question is, if your work influences the future, Cristian, what do you hope people 50 years from now will thank you for? What would you wish they will thank you for?
Well, how to say, I hope that people working with me, they will rely, or they will value, I don't know if that's possible, recognize, I don't even know how to say that, the fact that I give them the freedom to try to fail. And I hope that someone will say, I remember I had a boss that is said that they allow me to do something, that is encourage me to do something, or challenge me in a different way to do something that I haven't thought about.
I love it.
I hope that they will remember me as someone working together with that memory. I don't know if I do a good job of, honestly. I'm not the right person to ask, but I hope someone will recognize in the future that I get a lot of freedom to try to do something.
Well, you're not my boss or have never been, but I wish I will ever have a boss like you for sure. It has been super amazing. But the three takeaways that I'm taking of our conversation, one is autonomy is not just tech. It has to be a mindset shift. It's about trusting machines. It's about redesigning organizations, but also that can make the decisions faster. My second takeaway from our conversation is data is no longer a spreadsheet or a report. It should be a strategy, and especially in infrastructure industries. So those who are structured well will unlock a new business model or a new value models, as you call it. And my third takeaway that I have here is that the future of any industry is not a mechanical one. Is this intelligence is responsive? Is above all is human. Exactly. So that's the kind of foresight that I guess we need more. Did I get it right? Anything else that I
absolutely forgot? I think that at the end we are at the center. We will be remaining as a people.
Cristian, this is an amazing way to end our podcast. Thank you so much
Thank you, Diana. Thank you for hosting me and to have a fantastic, lovely conversation about these topics, which I love it. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Cristian. And to our listeners, if you're building, transforming, or living through uncertainty, this episode should be a roadmap for you. Please share with your team, with your board, or with your co-pilot AI. Why not? And join us next time on the Tech Foresight podcast, where the future is not just coming, it's already being built by people like you. Until next time, I am Diana Daniels. Stay curious, stay connected, and stay foresighted. See you soon.